Hello from Buenos Aires. Aliki here from this fantastic city. My first impressions were amazing. I've been here for a month now and I still love it. So I could easily give you 100 places and things to see here in Buenos Aires, but I think to construct your trip better, it is better to look at the different neighborhoods. So in this video, I will share with you the best areas to visit in Buenos Aires and the main sites to see there. And as always, of course, I will comment on safety, pricing, and all the other important things that you need to know before going to Buenos Aires. Now we have to start with Centro because that is kind of like the most central important part of Buenos Aires. You will find the President Castle, which is called the Pink House. You will also find a Congress there. There is also a church, the main Catholic church in Buenos Aires that doesn't look like church at all. One of the world's biggest and widest avenue is also going through Centro. And on that avenue you will find Obelisk, which is in these days the main gathering point. Also a phenomenal building you can't miss out is the Teatro Colón, which is actually the opera house. Now the next one is Recoleta, which is an upscale neighborhood, always has been, still is, and it was massively inspired by French architecture. In this neighborhood you will find French Square, the best art museum in Buenos Aires, and weirdly a cemetery that is extremely popular to visit. I personally didn't go because, I don't know, I just found it a bit weird, but it is quite a significant site to visit in Recoleta. Next to Recoleta you will find Retiro, which is also supposedly to be an upscale neighborhood, but I personally going there, seeing it, I would say 40% is still the upscale where the fancy hotels are, and then a big part is the train station area. The train station is lovely itself to visit. It reminded me of UK. It's a really lovely train station, and outside you will find the monumental clock tower, which was actually gifted to Buenos Aires by British community. If you do decide to take a train from Retiro station somewhere, then I highly recommend checking out the official website, because a lot of weekends the trains actually don't go to the Retiro station. You have to pick another one. So I'm gonna put a link. The link is in my blog, and the link to my blog will be in the description. Now, before we jump in all the trendy neighborhoods, we have to go back where it all started, San Telmo. San Telmo is the oldest neighborhood in Buenos Aires and definitely a must visit. When you go there, you really feel like you've gone back in time. You will find a lot of colonial buildings there, and also there is a church on every corner. There you will find cobble streets, little cute squares, and I think the best day to visit San Telmo is Sunday, because that's when like the main street market is happening there. Historically there were several markets, but now there is only one main market left, which is one of the main things to go and visit there. It is not only the market as we know, there is also lots of restaurants and bars in there. Another historic neighborhood you have to include in your itinerary is La Boca. All the football fans should recognize this place because it's home for one of the best football teams in South America. La Boca really symbolizes the immigration culture in Buenos Aires. There was a time when the city was actively inviting people from all over the world, and of course that's where the port was. People settled there and they started their new lives there. The significant feature about La Boca is the colorful houses, and they are so colorful because back in the day people were using leftover paint from the ships, so the color that was left over from painting the ships, they used that color for the houses, and that's how historically this neighborhood became so colorful. The main thing to experience La Boca really is the Caminito. It is a little lovely street full of bars, restaurants, cafes, and it just really shows La Boca vibe. And of course, maybe you can even go to a football game, but we checked tickets, we wanted to go, but they were so expensive. A ticket, like where you stand, you don't even have a seat, it's a standing ticket, costs $200. So it was a bit too much. Now let's move to the new trendy neighborhoods, and as the first one I want to mention Puerto Madero. Here it's not so much about the sights because it's a very new neighborhood, it's more about the atmosphere and the vibe. So all this area was neglected docks and they've been turned into a cool modern restaurants and bars. Now I feel like Puerto Madero has two sides of it. You have this front promenade with restaurants and bars and renovated docks, and it looks really cool. And then you have this other side of Puerto Madero, which is the ecological park, and there the vibe is way more relaxed. So on the other side you will find like food trucks, local markets, people just gathering in the park. So yeah, it's like two different sides of Puerto Madero. The main thing in Puerto Madero, I guess, will be the Puente de la Mujer, which is like another modern symbol of Buenos Aires. I'm not sure if this is international or just my country, but in my country, whenever you cross a new bridge, you can make a wish. So I guess my recommendation will be to cross the Puente de la Mujer and make a wish. Another fantastic neighborhood that I want to highlight is Palermo, where we are now. And basically it was a farmland, and then obviously when the city was getting bigger and the big avenues were a thing, then this whole area became a big part of the city. So I personally love the parks here. That is my favorite part. I love walking in the parks, people watching. It's just such an amazing way to see the local life. So I personally prefer the parks, but here is so much other things to see. So you have a planetarium, you have a Japanese gardens, you have a beautiful rose garden, and you can just take a boat in the park. Like, this area is just so cool. And Palermo also features an eco park, which is absolutely free to enter, and it is a home for rescued animals. I feel like this park and all the other parks in Palermo is a true oasis in this busy city. Now, this area is also known for really good restaurants, bars, and even nightlife. So I guess if you want to catch the essence of Palermo as a neighborhood apart from the parks, then I would recommend going to Palermo Soho. Palermo Soho is basically, there is a square in the middle, and then in like 2-3 layers around it there are loads of restaurants and bars. So I've been staying in Palermo for a month, and after visiting all the neighborhoods, I still think that Palermo is the best place to stay in Buenos Aires. If you only have 2 or 3 days, then maybe Centro and Recoleta will be a better choice, just because you're going to be more central and might be a bit more convenient time-wise. But if you're staying a week or 2 or even more, I think there is no competition for Palermo. So most of the neighborhoods feature some sort of art museum, and the best one is in Recoleta, Bella Artes, I guess because like the most famous paintings are there. But for me personally, I enjoyed way more the museum in Palermo, the art museum in Palermo. So this museum more focuses on the artists in South America. And you know, for me as a tourist, when I do go to art museum in a different place, I do really much rather prefer seeing the local artist work, and because a lot of their paintings really tell a story also about the country and their culture, so it's way more interesting for me. And there is still one special neighborhood I want to mention, and it's called Tigre. Now, it's interesting because it's still in Buenos Aires, it's still a neighborhood in Buenos Aires, but you will need to take a 1-hour train ride from Retiro. So this just shows you how huge Buenos Aires is. Tigre wasn't really on my radar before I was researching, but then when we arrived and spoke with locals, everyone was recommending us to go and visit Tigre, and of course, we had to. So we went there for like a day trip, and it was absolutely lovely. The main thing there really is the delta, which of course historically has been always important because of transporting goods, but these days it's really like this cool place, outskirts, where you know, have a little break from the busy city life. Locals are purchasing summer houses there, and now when I visited, and if I had more time in Buenos Aires, I would probably go there for a weekend. The most popular thing you can do there is take a boat ride, which is quite touristic, but you know, we only had a few hours. The route's called Six Rivers, and it basically kind of takes you around and shows you the life in the area. Safety-wise, Buenos Aires is super safe. It's one of the safest travel destinations in South America. Well, at least now, it's super clean, super organized, really, really safe. I've had my phone out, been filming, photographing. In general, I'm a cautious traveler, so I don't really wander too much around in the late hours, so I haven't been much out like late. But during the day, I think one of the biggest problems is, you know, your phone, your camera, like you need to watch out all the time, look behind your shoulder. Like I haven't been doing that in Buenos Aires. I really find Buenos Aires really safe. Buenos Aires has really done so many things great. Like, as I said, it's super organized, super clean, safe. Unfortunately, the only problem at the moment when I'm here is that the city is extremely expensive. And I don't really want to go too much into it because the situation changes so drastically. Literally 6 months ago, it was absolutely different situation. So I think, and I'm not going to comment on it too much, but I just want to say that when you are planning your trip, research what's the current situation, check the whole blue dollar rate. Like, this economy is so different from any other economy in the world. So that's just like a separate thing you really need to look into before you're coming to Buenos Aires. I feel like I've been talking a lot and the sun already has gone down. So I really, really hope I shared everything I wanted to share. I'm sure I forgot something. So if you have any questions about any neighborhood, about any site, about anything in Buenos Aires, please comment them below. As always, I answer all the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It does really help me a lot. And I still have a trip to Patagonia ahead, so make sure to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on my new videos.